So when we talk about, and, I stumbled on this because I heard Patty Gasso talk about how tough it was being in the new conference, and as good as her hitters are, um, there's still some things that they had to get used to, and one of those things was the day in and day out, the rigorous grind of every weekend we're playing against like really good players and really good competitors and really good teams, and you don't really get a break from playing against those really good players, and the how loud the crowds are, how unfriendly the crowds are, and all these things that could, would, or even should take us out of our game, take us out of what we know we're capable of doing. And so she said that she made a good point. She said it's important for us to show up to the field ready to play. And it's funny because it sounds like such a small thing when a coach asks you, "Are you ready to play?" And I'll give you a small idea of what we're talking about. Most people don't know this, but I did coach a college team, and I was an assistant coach. I was a volunteer assistant coach, but the time that I put in was the equivalent of like if I was a full-time coach. And I coached for 4.5 years. A friend of mine named Bridget Quimpo, who at the time was a head coach at NJCU, New Jersey City University, which competes at the Division III level in the NJAC conference. The NJAC is the New Jersey Athletic Conference. And if you don't know about the NJAC conference in Division III is considered the SEC of Division III. There's really good teams. Rowan, William Patterson, TCNJ. I mean, they got serious teams, and they compete really, really hard, right? Really, really well. Anyway, she went in on a half year. So she called me in December, like, "Yo, I'm going to take this job. You want to come with me?" Da, da, da. I said, "All right, I'll come with you until you win a World Series." Needless to say, we didn't win a World Series, but we did turn the program around. In our second year, we won the conference, went to the NCAA tournament. And then two straight years after that, we went to Supers twice, and we were one win away from the World Series, which is kind of cool for a program like that, small school. And now they are a winning program, top 25, Division III, top 20, top 15. So it was cool to be able to have that perspective. But I remember our biggest challenge as coaches was we had to make sure as coaches that our players were ready to play game day. When you show up, no matter what happened with your professors in the classroom, no matter what happened with your parents, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever you got going on, okay, that was that. Now that you're here, are you ready to play? And for some people, that's a really big challenge because they don't have the ability to compartmentalize and say, I'm going to put this over here because this is what's going on in my life right now, and I'm going to deal with. And then while that's over here for now I can deal with this, and when I'm done dealing with this, I'll pick that back up. And a lot of people do not have the ability to do that. But I'm going to tell you right now, parents have the ability to do that. Right? Adults, when you start adulting, you have the ability to do that because you have no choice, because you got people that are counting on you, and they don't really care what you're going through, necessarily. Like they want, you have a responsibility to your teammates. You have a responsibility to you. You have a responsibility to your coaches to show up ready to compete. And if you have something that you're going through, hopefully you're in the right environment and you're in the right culture where you can talk to somebody about it. after the game or whatever, like, to help you and counsel you. So that was a big part of it. Now, what I'm going to say something a little different to you guys tonight. I'm going to tell you that it is important that you are responsible and you are ready to play. It shouldn't be the coach's responsibility to make sure you're ready to play. So let's talk about it for a second, right? So what is game readiness? What is that? What is that even? Readiness is not just physical. It's mental, it's emotional, and it's also tactical. So the question I ask you guys now is, are you showing up to compete or just to participate? That's a really good one. Oh boy. So like, obviously I don't have to tell you the difference, like, but there are people, and you probably have them on your team, they're participators. And then there are people who show up to compete. They show up to really win. They show up to beat the other team. They show up to fight. They didn't come to watch. And everybody competes in their own way. Everybody shows up and their readiness a different way. I'm going to break this down into four categories of readiness. One is mental. 2 is emotional. 3 is physical. And 4 is going to be strategic. Let's break those down for a second. So we got mental, which would include mindset, focus, intent. And it's funny because I talked about this earlier today with my certified coaches program. I did a whole presentation for them. It was back from my old notes, and it was literally part 1. And we did talk about mindset. Not really mindset as much as, but we did talk about focus. And everybody does not have the same level of focus. But I always talk about it being intentional and having intent. And what does that even mean? And what does that even look like for you guys, right? But I don't think enough people are intentional with how they show up and how they go about their day to day, and how they go about a backhand play. And if I'm playing infield, how I go about throwing somebody out, or how I go about stepping to the plate and knowing what my situation needs from me and being in tune with it. And we always like to say, like, you got to really know how to win, because winners find ways to win. So if I'm down by 1 and my team needs a base runner, I'm not swinging at a first pitch change up in the dirt. That's crazy. My team's down by 1. I lead off the inning and I swing at a first pitch change up in the dirt. That is crazy. Like, you're not a winner. You're not focused. You're not intentional. You have the wrong mindset. Like, just those types of things. It could mean nothing to you, but in the bigger picture, when you look at, like, okay, we're trying to win a game here, it means a lot to your team. So that's mental. We got mindset, we got focus, and we have intent. Then we also have the emotional. That was number 2 in our 4 categories of readiness. Number 2 in emotional, we're regulating our energy, right? We have this confidence, but we have a calm confidence. It's a balance, like a presence, a quiet. I like to call those people like a quiet assassin. She's a quiet assassin. I don't know if you guys ever got a chance to watch Natasha Watley play or Caitlin Lowe play, but those were probably 2 of the best 1-2 batters, top of the order batters, probably in the history of the game of fast pitch softball. And I had an opportunity to coach both of them at the pro level, and they were on 1 and 2. I don't even remember who was 1 and who was 2. It might have fluctuated, but dude, they were tough. They don't chase pitches ever. They don't chase. It's just, they're tough. And I think once we start to zone in and hone in on, like, what is my role? What am I contributing? And if you're not sure what your role is on the team, if you're not sure what your coach expects of you, ask. Sometimes your role is obvious, but sometimes it may not be obvious, right? So ask. So having that, being able to regulate my energy, it's like I don't want to get too high up and too excited, although it's healthy to be excited because we want that excitement. And if you think for a second that you're the only one that has those butterflies in your stomach or that feeling in your stomach, that is a normal, healthy thing. In fact, I would go as far as to say this: if you don't have that feeling in the beginning of a game, especially like an important game, I'm concerned about you. That's not normal. Like you don't even feel it. You don't even feel the energy, right? So I think we learn how to balance it out. I don't want to get too high. We talked about this. I don't want to get too high when I hit a home run, and I don't want to get too low when I strike out. But there's a balance, because if I'm the people that get too excited at home runs and they get too excited, not saying you can't celebrate, not saying you can't fist pump, not saying you can't say, let's go to your teammates. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like you get too high on those things. Those are the same people that get way too low on their failures. They ride the emotions in a way that's not healthy. And then there's a physical part, right? There's a physical part of readiness, which is, am I warmed up? And I would go as far as to say is like warming up is not about, usually I would say, okay, if you're sweating, if your heart rate is up to a healthy, heart rate, you're ready. You're loose, like you're loose. You're warmed up. But I would also say is there's another level of being warmed up that goes beyond body temperature, sweating, and heart rate. But it's are your muscles activated? And I think we've talked about that. And I got to write this one in too. It's are your muscles activated or not? Right. So I think those are going to be some things that we that I want to cover with us today. And I'm gonna write some notes as I talk. I'm gonna write some notes and things, because as I'm talking, I have things that I didn't have on my sheet. And when I came up with this, like I pretty much took what Patty Gasso said in the interview, and I said she's right on that readiness thing. But the key is, do most people even know how to be ready? What does that even mean? And I believe that there's a team readiness thing that happens. Is the team ready? The whole team? But then there's individuals on the team, the little individuals that have to be ready also. So is this thing? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, we're ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? We're ready. And then we know what we have to do each game, each day, to make sure that we show up ready. Whether it's did I eat what I had to eat? Did I get enough sleep? Did I get to the ballpark in enough time to do what I need to do personally? And then what I have to do with my team, because there's two parts of it. Like there's a part that I'm doing with my team, our team thing, that we get ready as a team and we kind of bond and unify for that day. But then there's me personally, my individual. What do I need? What do I particularly need? And I think we have to know and learn that about ourselves. I do well when I play well. When I do this or when I do that. I don't when I do this. So I try to avoid that. And I try to, find or this, because this is how I do well. So that's my my physical category for readiness. Now on the strategic side, there's, and I talked about understanding your role, and I talked about your game plan and your opponent tendencies. Like if we know who we're playing, and we know that they play this type of style of ball, okay, we know we're going to go against a team that's going to put the ball in play. They're going to hit the ball hard. Defensively, we're ready for that, right? We're going up a team like, hey, they're really fast. They got a lot of people that can run. We're going to have to be fast and not give away extra bases. Okay, those are things that we have to understand about our opponent. And then there's our particular game plan as a team, which it should be all the time. So, and I will say this, and usually a really good team with defensively, the pitchers are getting the first out, the first pitch strike. They're working ahead. The defense is getting the first out, and we're not throwing the ball around and giving away extra bases. That's a solid, and we make the plays we're supposed to make. We don't have to make the great plays, but the plays that we're supposed to make, the routine plays, we have to make those. That is a solid defensive team. And you know that your defense is not going to be the reason why you lose, and your defense and your pitching is going to keep you in the game so that the hitters can do what they got to do, and then you can win games. We're talking about the pregame mental checklist, and it was about questions and us knowing what questions we should ask ourselves. What questions should I be asking myself? Right. So, for example, how do I feel? Am I clear? Am I calm? Am I confident? Am I fast today? Do I feel slow? I feel kind of slow. It's self-awareness. And if I know I feel slow, what am I going to do to help me speed myself up? If I feel like I'm dragging it, right? I'm just dragging today. What do I do to help me feel like I can speed myself up in that sense? So what I would say is also, and I was just saying this before I found out I was muted, I was saying that it comes down to things like who are you warming up with? Like, who are you warming up with? Who's the person that you're warming up with? Like, I wouldn't want to warm up with somebody who has like low energy, like who's not going to get me fired up, or who's going to have negative energy. And sometimes as a coach, when I see certain people warming up together, I'm like, I think I'm going to break that up, because if those two are hanging out, I can see why she can't hit anymore. Sometimes it's an energy thing. You guys are sometimes maybe too young to understand that, but we see those things. You get to set the tone for what your personal warm up needs to be, and what your pregame routine looks like. So I would want to develop a personal pregame routine, obviously, and a mental warm up. And we talked about this before in past meetups, where we talk about our own personal cue words. We focus with our own focus drills and our own visualization. And for me personally, and I still do this to this day, I like staring at the pitchers and what they're throwing, and I'm just getting myself. I think it's my way of timing them, because I'm seeing their pitching delivery, and I can see it in my head when I'm at the plate, and I kind of memorize the timing of like when they're gonna get rid of it. And when I stare at those pitchers, the whole time they're throwing, and I love watching them warm up. It's like I go into like this trance mode of like locked in on what she's throwing, how she's throwing it. And it's like weird, because then when I get in the box, I can see it. Like, I just saw so many pictures, I kind of became one with her almost. It's weird. But obviously I play baseball, so it would be with him. And I remember like people that I've owned. And you know how you can own somebody? I don't know if you guys ever owned anyone, but like, how they say, man, she owns that team. She owns that pitcher. Or Manny Ramirez owns like a particular pitcher, or whatever batter. You can own a pitcher. You can own certain types of pitchers, because they kind of throw to your wheelhouse, or they're pitching in the rhythm that you like. And that's how we get to the point where we can start being more consistent in that area. So the importance of your mental routines, and how do we get our mind on the field before your feet hit the dirt? And that's another good one that we also talked about before, but I want to just put it in perspective for you like this. If you're on the team bus in high school and you're getting ready to pull up on the field, like, I would want you to, if you're really locked in, no one should have to tell you this, or if you're in the car, like, your phone is kind of off. Unless you like, I know some people you may be reading a devotional, you may be reading your Bible, or whatever you do, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, your communication in the social world should be cut off 30 minutes out, 20 minutes out, 15 minutes out max. Because you're going to start getting into your groove of like, I'm getting ready to play. And I get that softball is a lot more social for you guys than it probably ought to be. It's a lot more social. It's like, my friends, hi. And you get out the car and you run to your friends. You hug them and you know, whatever. And that's fine. You do a TikTok, whatever. I get it, sort of. But you have to understand too, like you have to know what works for you. And does that get you ready? Because sometimes I'll be watching, like I get all these TikToks on my phone that come through. Because I guess my algorithm knows that I'm in the software world. And I see all these losing teams doing all these great TikToks. I'm like, you guys did that was phenomenal. The coordination, the amount of time you guys probably put into doing that TikTok to make your moves were in sync. And yet I watch your team play and you guys suck. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, go hit. If you got time to do that, you got time to go to the cage and hit more than I'm just throwing it out there. And it's why you lose. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. So I suggest you guys build your own mental checklist for pregame activation. And for some of us, we talked about it before. It's breathing, it's visualization of the perfect at bat, visualization of the perfect 4 at bats. It's rhythmic breathing, deep breath in, hold for 4 seconds. I'm sorry, deep breath in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds. And then you do that 3 or 4 times, your body understands it's an oxygen thing, it's a calming thing, it's a focus thing. Your mind it starts focusing on the breath and not focusing on the outside things that are influencing you. And I think those are good places to start. And if you guys are new on the watching, or you're watching this and you haven't seen them, there's other episodes that are saved that you'll see where we go into depth with the breathing and we go into depth with the visualization strategies, because visualization helps all of us in every aspect of our lives, whether it's professional, educational, or athletic. You know, so the third section I came up with, we got emotional regulation under pressure, and I think everybody doesn't feel pressure the same way. Like for some people, pressure is not really pressure. So I would ask you just one. I have awareness, right? How do I feel? How am I feeling before this game? Did I just have a disagreement with someone? Am I just not feeling it that day? And trust me, you are going to have days where you don't feel it, where you don't even want to be there. But the worst part of that is when other people can see it. That's the worst part. If you don't have the maturity to mask how you feel, even though you're not feeling it, then you're going to your energy is going to probably affect someone else on the team, and then next thing you know, we have a flat team. And once you know how you're feeling before the game, the second question is, do you know how to adjust it? Do you know how to can you change it? Are you in control of your own emotions? Or are your emotions controlling you? That's the key. Like, otherwise you're not ready. I talked about it today earlier in my chat with my coaches, and we were talking about I brought up the fact that sometimes people don't have the ability to know how they affect others, right? And being ready to play and showing up ready to play is a function of having an awareness of what your capabilities are and being sensitive to what I think I used the word intrapersonal, and having that kind of awareness. Okay, I'm about to show up. And when I coached on that college team, it was crazy because and it was one of those kind of schools that it's a hard school. You probably had an 8 a.m. class. Well, let me go back. You probably stayed up to 1 a.m. studying or writing a paper, right? You probably you probably woke up early because you had an 8 a.m. class. You probably had a 10 a.m. class, and then BP was at like 1 o'clock. So you got to figure out how to eat, get changed, get to the field for BP at 1, because you got to be at the field 2 hours before the game. If the game's at 3, if it's a doubleheader like 3 and 5:30, you got to be at the game by 1. You have to be at the game by 1, right? So now it's like, okay, that's a lot. I'm telling you, it sounds like it's easy, but it's not easy. It's a lot. it's easy when you're 14 and 15 to do that, have that kind of a long day. But when you start getting into your 20, 19, 20, 21, and you got the stress of like the day that just happened, and then you got to go play a doubleheader that afternoon. That's not really very easy. As easy as they make it, it's really tough. So that type of pressure could take us down. So and it causes us to not be ready for the game. So some of the tools that we can do. Before that, we talked about staying neutral. So don't ride the highs too high, and don't ride the lows too low. Right? Try to stay neutral and this balanced emotional thing where you can go up a little bit and come down a little bit, but you got to have the right perspective because you still got to go play the rest of the game. Some of the tools that we use to regulate our energy is 1, breathing, 2, movement and body language, and 3, focus anchors. So somebody used to ask me, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Or does my emotional regulation come from my outward body language? Does it come from that first? Or is it something that I tell myself to do? Oh, get it together. Or do I change my posture and then I begin to, or am I slumped over like, oh, I'm not having a good day. I just struck out 3 times, and I'm moping. I had a kid who it's funny. I was at an SEC game, and one of my kids, she struggles with wearing her emotions on her sleeve. Yet for the team that she played with, she was the spark plug of the team. She was the person that they would go how she goes, right? They would go how she goes, and the team won the game. And I went down to talk to her, and I'm like, I pulled her over. I was like, yo, why are you looking like this? Your team just won. You're a leader on the team. Whatever you got going on, you are not being mature about that. And I don't know that anybody on the coaching staff of her team actually said something like that, or said something about it, or they were afraid to say something to her about it. I don't even know what was going on. But I took the opportunity to make sure that I let her know, like, this is not acceptable. I don't care what you got going on. You pretend that you good, and then when nobody's looking, because you guys who ever watch TV, the first thing they do when a pitcher comes out of the game, what do? They put the camera right on the pitcher. They put it right on her. And she's either gonna look like she's in control of the situation, and she's a good sport, or she has a good attitude, or she's gonna look really bad. One or the other. And but you make an error, you drop a ball, that camera's coming right back to you. You go out and you give up 3 home runs, and they pull you, that camera's coming right back to you every single time, because their job is to capture the emotion. That's called entertainment. The producers are locked in on you, and they're like, camera 2 ready, 3, 2, got you. They're zooming in on you. That's what they do. So and that's not a good look. So we got those would be our tools. Our breathing, our movement and body language, and our focus anchors. Whatever our focus anchors are, it's something that I might look at on the field. Like I might look at something like the American flag, be like, and I'm back. That was a focus anchor. Or I might have a friend that I like that my teammate picks me up, and we got a secret handshake or whatever. I do my little handshake, whatever you guys do, all the gang signs. Like I would do something like that to help, boost my energy. So whatever your focus anchors are, find your focus anchors, lean towards your focus anchors, so that if you feel like you're not ready to play, you are ready to play. So let's talk about strategic focus and physical readiness. So not just stretching, but how are you moving and reacting pregame? Because for me, my stretch, my warm up, because some people can do a warm up, because my game, I knew what my game was when I played. I was fast, I had a good arm, and I could hit. But I couldn't really focus on my hitting so much, but I had to make sure that when I did my sprints, I'm fast in my sprints. When I did my throwing, I'm throwing it hard, right? And I'm competing in my warm up. And sometimes I feel like, and maybe that doesn't work for everybody. Maybe some of you guys are like, I'm going to be 60, 75, 80%. That's how I want to do it. I'm smooth. I'm like kind of laid back when I do it. That didn't work for me, because then I would come out flat. So I had to make sure that I came out with some fire and with some vigor. And we already went over this part. But as I watch what hitters do in between innings and what hitters do in the pregame in terms of watching pitchers, I think that we have to do a better job on a whole to get as much information as you can. So, for example, okay, so if I'm scouting a pitch, if I'm watching, so when I'm as a coach, when I'm watching the opposing pitcher pitch, because I want to be able to give you guys strategies, and I want to be able to help you with the proper approach to this particular pitcher. So sometimes teams will do this. They may have 3 pitchers warming up in front of the dugout, right? And we don't always know who's pitching. So I have to watch all 3, and I have to remember, I call it counting the cards. You got to count the cards. We count the cards and watch the pitchers, and we remember, okay, she's the drop ball one, she's the rise ball one, she's the change up one, or whatever it is, right? And I start to, in my head, okay, when the girl's coming in a pitch, it's a relief. I'm like, okay, this is the drop ball one. I remember her from warmups. She's all drops. She's all drops. So now I got to decide for myself, okay, the batter that's coming up, is she the kind of hitter that matches up with a good drop ball pitcher, or is she the type of hitter that matches up with a good change up pitcher? I have to be able to determine that, so I can do what I have to do strategically in my head. But for you guys, I don't think you guys are on the level yet of understanding the importance of watching, so you can know, okay, this type of pitcher, here's my approach. Here's where I'm going to stand in the box. Here's how close to home plate I'm going to stand. Here's what I'm going to hunt. Here's what I'm going to look for, or here's what I'm going to sit on first pitch, second pitch, third pitch. I promise you, if you have a pitcher who's really good, she's not going to throw you ball one. And if by some strange chance she does throw you ball one, she's not going to throw you ball two. And I think so many of us, we're on our heels, and those pitchers are like, if they're coming into relief, then they're the one. If a team's up by 2, the girl in relief is the number 1. The starter isn't the number 1 pitcher. The starter is the one that they threw to see how far she can take the team. 1 inning, 2 innings, 3 innings. And if she gives us 3, oh, wow, that's great. But we know she's not that good. We got a quick hook with her. The next girl that comes in is the girl that comes in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th inning after this girl who's kind of has given us all she got. Because I'm not bringing her in when we're losing or when we're up, because she's going to blow it. So that player, that pitcher that's coming in, she's the one. She came in to shut you down. That's her job. So now if she's coming to shut you down, she's not throwing you balls like that. She's not doing it. So I think we have to understand that and be, again, ready to compete, not be on our heels and like, okay, strike one, now you got 0-1. I mean, after that, once she goes 0-1, it's like pretty much lights. So I think those are the kinds of approaches that I'd like to see us do better. I'd like to see us do better. When I'm watching games and I watch you guys play, it's like the readiness part is contributing to how we win a game. If I'm down by 1 and I get ball 1, I'm taking the next pitch. Why? Because she's probably going to throw me ball 2. And if she does throw me strike 1, the 3rd pitch is probably going to be ball 2. But we go 1-0, and then we chase the ball in the dirt and hit a ground ball back to the pitcher. That's the kind of stuff, like, you're not ready to play. You're not ready to play. You're not ready to win. And pitcher team plan versus pitcher. So once I've determined, and I'm gonna go back to once I've determined what type of pitcher that I have, it tells me, do I want to be, and this goes back to being able to switch my game plan or flip my approach. Do I want to be early? Do I want to be aggressive early in the count in this situation? Do I want to be more patient early in the count in this situation? And those are things that you have to learn how to flip-flop on your own, because the third base coach or your coach can't always give you take signs. Matter of fact, I don't. Sometimes I feel like I have to take time sometimes as a coach, although I don't want to, because I want the hitters to be able to know if you're fast and the third baseman is playing even with the bag, you need to beat her. You need to drop one down and beat her. Like I shouldn't have to tell you that. Or if the whatever the situation is, you should be watching the game and understand what they're giving you. She's throwing a lot of balls to the right. Or if I'm running the bases, this is another focus thing. If I'm running the bases and I have a base hit up the middle, but it's to the second base side of first base, and I'm on first base, I'm going to freaking third. I am going to third. Throw me out. Going to third. Little things. Being ready. And if you're not a starter, here's another thing. If you're not a starter, this is probably a whole nother class. How do I ready myself as a pitch hitter? Because sometimes a coach may be like, "Hey, get ready to run," and the person they're asked to run is looking for their helmet. How are you looking for your helmet? You're not ready. Or let's go. You're hitting next. Where's my batting gloves? Anybody got my elbow guards? Anybody got my helmet? Are you kidding? Forget it. Forget it. You guys understand? Like that's just readiness. Most high level hitters, like I think we underestimate the fact that if we can reduce our chase rates, we're going to get better pitches to hit because we have the ability to shrink our strike zones. If I can make my strike zone belly button to top of the kneecap, you know how small that strike zone is? I'm just cheating. I'm just going to that space. And to Ryan's point, I'm saying yes, yes, yes to that space. I'm saying yes to that area, belly button to top of the kneecap. You understand? That's what I'm doing. But if I'm not intentional about what pitch I'm ready for, I'm liable to chase anything. And I think the problem that I'm seeing with hitters that I feel like they could be high level, but they're not high level, is the chase rates are way too high. And the chase rates come down to how big is the strike zone you're trying to hit or you're trying to attack. Now, obviously, with two strikes, that's different. With two strikes, that's going to look a lot different because obviously I'm chasing a bigger zone with two strikes. That's understandable. But I'm talking about less than two. I'm talking about 0-0, 0-1, 1-1, 2-0, 2-1, 3-0, 3-1, even 3-2. I don't have to attack a big zone. That's like 7 counts where I don't have to attack a big zone. I can shrink it. And we should be looking at quadrants in the strike zone. Quadrants, hitters. Quadrants. So what's 1/2 times 1/2? 1/4. I know you guys are like, what is it? Okay, I'll say it again. 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. So if I cut my strike zone in half twice, it's 1/4. It's a quarter of the zone. It's a quadrant. So my zone, just so you know, I know that there's a strike zone, but I have a different zone when I have less than 2. And that zone is belly button down. And then I'm going to cut it in half again, middle in and middle out. That's my zone. With 2 strikes, it's a little bit higher than the belly button. It's more sternum. And that's my approach in terms of like what I'm attacking. And the more disciplined we become at understanding how to hit in quadrants, and you're going to understand, like when I first started to realize it, I used to go visit. Like when I first started doing what I do, I used to go visit schools and watch teams take BP. You know, I would call coach, "Hey, coach, can I come down and watch practice?" Yeah, come on down. I went and watched like Team USA's practice for 7 hours when they were going to China. I went and watched a lot of Florida. When Tim Walton first got the job at the University of Florida, I went and spent a lot of time down in Gainesville, and I watched a lot of Florida practices. I coached with Tim in pro softball, but like I had to open, just go in. It was almost like my second home. LSU, I go watch practice. I would go watch Northwestern. I happened to be in Chicago. I called up the coaches at Northwestern. Hey, I'm in town. Oh, come on by. We got BP. I would come over there and just watch how they did their thing. And I started to learn how people get their kids ready for that level. And it's a lot different than what you think. So one of the things I want to do, and I know we have 2 high school seniors here that are going to be going to play Division I softball in this group that I know of. I know you guys are like, I need you guys to be able to go in ready, already there mentally and emotionally, because that's what keeps kids on the bench. It's not their ability. It's not their physical ability. It's their mental, emotional abilities that keep freshmen, sophomore on the bench longer than I think they should be, because they have not prepared themselves or have not been exposed to the things that are going to prepare them for that next level. And I think that's going to be the key. So when we're doing front toss, we want to get different pitches, high, low, middle, in, out, and think about what I want to do with this next pitch. Start practicing this part. Don't just practice this part. It's a bigger game than that. And if you're coaching a 10 to 12 and the 14U program, anybody in here, or if you're playing at that level, you're not exempt from being a chaser. Like, you want to bring your chase rates down. Because if you don't figure out how to not chase, you won't be a good hitter at the next level. You will not be. You will not be a good hitter at the next level. So the next question I have is, what are your gaps in readiness right now? And what are the things that separate you from being ready? And what do those things look like? So, having worked with different types of hitters, right? I think the gaps in readiness that I'm seeing the most of is there's a consistency gap, one. And I used to have this formula that I would have coach. I used to do a lot of consulting college coaches, and I would have them give me without giving me names of players, they would rate all of their players on a scale of 1 to 3. 1 being the best, 2 being 2, and 3 being 3. So if you were 1, you were the best. If you're 2, you're in the middle. If you're 3, you need a lot of work, right? And I'll say rate all your players 1 to 3. In terms of 1 is your players that you know they're going to show up every game. She's a 1. Every game she's showing up. Every game. You probably got 2, maybe 3 people like that. Then you're number 2, and then on the 2, you have players that they show up 75% of the time. They're going to show up. Maybe 80%, 75, 80% of the time they show up. That's probably, if you got, let's say you have 20-man roster, you're going to have like maybe 3 1s. If you're lucky, you got 3 1s. If you're lucky, you're probably going to have about like a lot of 2s, but you're going to have a lot of 3s. And 3s are, I have no idea who's showing up that day. I have no idea. And the key is when you add up all the numbers and you divide it by the number of people on your roster, if you're closer to 1, you got a team. If you're closer to 1, like if you're low, like 2.1, 2.3, 1.9, you're gonna have a winning team. And if you're too close to 3, 2.5, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, you're not gonna have a winning team. When you do that average, when you do the average. So as an athlete, you want to ask yourself, am I the person who my coach can say, when I know you're going to show up? I'm not saying you're going to go 4 for 4 every game. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're never going to make a physical error, but they know they can count on you to show up. And I will just give you an example. I don't want to really drop names with this kid. I like this kid, but there's a senior on an SEC team. I'm about to give it away. I'm not good at this. There's a senior who I've been watching, and I've watched a lot of the games that this team plays. And I'm like, I can tell that she is the heart and soul of this team, but I can tell that she does not always show up. And because she doesn't show up, the other people, because her personality, I can tell is a dominating personality, she has a domineering spirit and personality that they play well when she's present, and when she's not, they just don't. And it's unfortunate because I don't really believe that she realizes just how much of a leader she is, and how much her inconsistency affects the entire team. So, because you could be a leader and lead people in the wrong direction too. You know, it's not always a leader has to be leading them up. A leader can also lead you down as well. So, and those things are key. Those things are important. So I think that's where we're at. That's where I'm going to end this little talk today. And hopefully you guys got something out of it. I mean, this, for me, just kind of going through it, it makes me rethink some things about, me as a coach, and me as not just a coach who coaches people, you guys in the cage, because coaching in the cage is not the same thing as coaching in the game. It's very different. I would say coaching a team is way harder than coaching in the game. I'm sorry. I would say coaching a team is way harder than coaching in the cage, because it's just all the personalities and all the energy. And I don't think you guys understand how draining it really is. It's draining, guys. It is draining for the adults that have to coach you. And it takes a lot out of them to be able to deal with all of you guys as individuals coming together as a team. And the more mature you can be, and the more independent you can be as a hitter, as a person, independent. So I don't have to tell you to go do this and go do that. It just takes things off of the coach so that they can focus on coaching, and it doesn't feel like they're babysitting. And it's more frustrating as you guys get older. So if you're a freshman, if you're a high school senior about to enter college, you can come in ready and mature. Your coaches will respect that. Your coaches will trust you more, and you will get more opportunities to get into the lineup. I have a kid who plays on Arkansas. He's a freshman. And I could not believe that this kid was not in a game. I watched Arkansas play. I'm like, she's not starting? Yo, this kid is one of the best hitters I've ever seen. And I'm like, how is she not starting? So I called her dad up. I was like, yo, is she hurt? He's like, no, she's not hurt. She's just behind some pretty good players. But lately they've been getting her in. She's been getting some at bats. She's been playing a little bit of defense. So that's good to see. But it's tough, guys. And this girl is so freaking good. Like, good. And I was like, how is she not freaking starting? This is crazy. So you guys gotta understand, it's hard, and I want you guys to put the work in. This is why I'm doing this, because I know that if you guys have the talent, which is that's a given. If you got this part too, it just boosts your chances. It boosts your opportunities to become more of a force, because it's so 80% mental. It really is 80% mental or more.